You see how I just flicked them onto the bed. But anyways, guys, welcome back. And today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite strikers at the moment, our favorite forwards who I think will have great potential in the Premier League one day, and that, or not even Premier League, just in his career. And that player is Ellie Junior Kroupi. And this has been a hard video to push out because I've been getting flamed on TikTok for my takes, like left and right. Like, man, Jalen, these takes suck, man. But you know what? I had to deal with that type of pressure when I was making the Madueke video and saying, hey guys, I think Madueke is going to be a decent player for Arsenal. Everybody was like, wrong, wrong. You know nothing about football. So, again, like they say, I'm just going to charge it to the game and roll with the punches. And this one's going to be a big punch I'm going to be rolling with because the player I'm talking about today is Ellie Junior Kroupi, who plays at Bournemouth. And Bournemouth was really, really good last season. They had a strong team. You had the likes of Semenyo. You had the likes of Mr. I feel Spanish. I feel Dutch today. Dean Huijsen. You had Kirkis as well. And I know Liverpool fans may not agree with me for the Kirkis take anymore. And then you also had Kluivert, who was just finding form and everything. So we had a strong team as well. The coach at Bournemouth was really, really good, but now this season, it's just not been hitting the same. But there has been some good scouting for Bournemouth to find these players and for them to do well in the Prem. And I think they did this as well with Ellie Junior Kroupi. It's just, he's just a bit late on the bus there. But you know what's crazy, and this is the crazy thing that I forgot to say at the start of the video because I'd be getting distracted and everything, is that Kroupi is only 19 years old. Yeah, guys, he's 19. And I know as a fan base, we tend to obsess with 19 I cannot say that. We tend to obsess with 19-year-olds, but we like to go in on, can't say we like to go on younger players either. We appreciate young talents as a football community, and Ellie Junior Kroupi is no different. But fun fact, guys, he actually started playing professionally when he was 16, and that's great experience. He actually comes from France, and he played at FC Lorient in France in Ligue 1, which is really, really cool. But what I like the most about Kroupi, because yes, anybody could play, not anybody can play Ligue 1, but any player could get some game time, you know, in a lower league because they're actually in Ligue 2. It's that he was heavily involved when the team were getting promoted into Ligue 1 in France. And I think that's great because that's great experience to have. And funny enough, if you look at a striker like Haaland, who is on top of the world right now, and literally, other than Kane and Mbappe, one of the best strikers in the world, Haaland, when he was at Molde was actually in second place when Haaland had that season where he had a really good season. I think it was plus 10 goals in a season as a 17-year-old in a professional league. It was great. And Molde were fighting for a champion spot, which they fell short of. But it's great experience for a young player because you learn how to deal with that pressure and that expectation. And it's not just like, oh, we got this great kid out of the academy, like, you know, everybody be nice to him, you know? It's like, welcome to football, because football is pressure and you've got to learn to deal with that pressure and roll with the punches like I'm doing with this fucking video today in my nonny opinions. You got to learn to roll with the punches of the game because it's not always going to be highs and it's not always going to be lows, but you have to be able to perform consistently when it is high, when it is low, and still be able to go out and perform. And while everybody is watching you and criticizing your every single move. And I think Kroupi gets that same experience playing at FC Lorient in France, which is already a great country to be playing football in. It's competitive. There's many leagues to its system. And he was contributing. That's just literally no better experience for any young player to go through than that. And it's not like this crazy Real Madrid experience or anything like that where he's put on this pedestal very early on into his career. No, He had to earn it. He had to make his way out of the academy, then as a player, fight with his team to get promoted. They get promoted. Now he's getting his move, but now it's not really working out for him. Well, it is decently because he's got 5 goals in 12 games. Not bad for a 19-year-old. But Brentford or Bournemouth, not Brentford, Bournemouth they're going through it right now. So again, a very realistic thing to happen in football. It's not all sunshine and rainbows for every single player. And some of you may be saying, but Jalen, if he was good enough, he would turn it around. And fair enough. But if we look at players like Haaland and everything like that, like Haaland had his like easing into his career kind of played out perfectly in a way. Like he started out Molde, and instead of going from Molde to a big team or anything like that, he went to Salzburg. Yeah, Salzburg. But in Austria, the Austrian Bundesliga, which they're a team that could compete for Champions League, but also he was in a league where the team was doing very, very well. So you got a bit more of a taste of that professional football in those harder leagues without, without him veering off the path too much of away from top 5 football, basically. So once Haaland did that, and then he started getting recognition on the Champions League stage. Then he went to Dortmund because he could have gone anywhere else. Dortmund, and then, from Dortmund, then he went to City. And I think that was a perfect move. With Kroupi's case, in Kroupi's case, he went from Lorient to Bournemouth, which I don't think I think Ligue 2 to Prem is a big jump. But he's contributing, which is good, and he's 19, he's getting that experience. Now, if he can just find form more consistently, it will be great for him. But before I get too sidetracked, because I like to just talk about football, because I just love talking about this with you guys. One thing that I do like about his game, or I'm going to start talking about the things that I like about his game, is with Kroupi in his game, he is a forward, but I think he plays better in a role where there's 2 strikers. A team where there's 2 forwards and he can play around the main striker because he's quick. So whenever he receives the ball, he's getting the ball, and his first step is really, really fast. He accelerates very quickly. That's the word that I'm looking for. And it helps when there's a main striker that has all the attention, and then Kroupi is there to make the run, like the shadow run, or make those runs in between the defenders, and then he's in on goal and he scores. And that's what's great about his game, is that he can finish easily 1v1, but with the keeper. But also what I like about his game is that he has an added long range shot. That was really hard to say for some weird reason. But the long range shot is what I love, and he's been taking a lot of those, and that's great to see from a young player because it shows a lot of confidence. And also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we've been in a recession of long range goals. So having that in your arsenal, and Arsenal is actually one of the teams who doesn't really take long shots. Having that in your arsenal as a player is really, really great. And I think that gives him a bit of extra edge because he's dangerous in the box, but he's also dangerous outside of the box, and teams have to respect that. But looking at the goals that he scored for Bournemouth so far, just some great striker goals, honestly. And it's great that he's getting that experience. And it would be even better if Bournemouth do stay up this season. It would be great experience, and his market value is only at 22 million, but I'm pretty sure his contract expires. Oh shit, we're almost 2026. I think 2029, 2030. So Bournemouth do have a bit more leverage when arguing with other teams for a price, because yes, his market value is 22 million, guys, but we've got to remind ourselves that it's the teams that need to negotiate and be like, hey, what price would you sell it for? And then the other team that wants to get the player has to be like, fine, we'll buy that player at that price. And none of that happens unless both teams can agree on a price. That's why transfers take so long, because yes, market says he's worth 22 million, but Bournemouth may be like, hey, he's still 19 and he's a forward. No, I don't think 22 million. We'll put him for 40. And a team may be like, whoa, I ain't paying 40. Like, I think that's a bit too much. If his numbers were a bit higher, then I'd pay for it. So see how it goes and everything like that. But I think a player definitely with a lot of potential. And we also know how undersaturated the forward market is at the moment. And I think being 19, only rated at 22 million euros is very, very cheap because we know that forwards go for way, way much, especially when they start scoring consistently. Ryan, for example, or I mean, Lamine Yamal, like he's literally one of the most expensive players market value wise at the moment, but also he's achieved so much, so fair enough to him. But with Kroupi's case, I could see him being around like an, if he starts scoring consistently, a 70, 80, 90 million player. And so 22 million euros is, I would say, pretty cheap compared to where he could be. And that's if he continues scoring consistently and we start maybe seeing him putting like 10 to 15 goals a season because he has the ability and he's already had a plus 15 goal season in France already. So we know the player can do it and he's got the abilities. It's now just finding a team that he can do it on the world stage. And was Bournemouth supposed to be that team? Yes, I think so because they were so strong last year and it was the perfect move on paper. But the season has been far from perfect for Bournemouth so far. So that's kind of affected Kroupi's game. But I still think he's been doing decently well. Like, we've got to remember he's 19, 5 goals in 12 games. That's pretty good numbers. He's actually scored more than Gyökeres so far this season. So that's a real stats. Gyökeres, he's got 2 less than Ekitike, which we've all been like, hey, Ekitike has been so great. So yeah, Kroupi is just, he's doing some good numbers. And I really do think that he'll go up and he's a player that you guys should watch out for. I also think he's got a clean touch. He's quick on a turn as well. And he's got a great passing range for a forward as well, which is always good signs I like to look for players. If you can control the ball, good. You need a good first touch to be a good player. If you can pass well, good. But passing is also equal to shooting in my case because I feel like shooting is just passing, but you're just doing it on the net. So good to see that from Kroupi, and I think you guys should all go check him out. Just a little YouTube search, Kroupi highlights, and let me know what you guys think. And yeah, I'll see you guys all next time. Peace.